So if you go back to the yesterday's session, we have covered about the high level, you know, about the penetration testing methodology, and then the fundamental terminologies, right? Hope those two topics are clear to you. Today I'll, take you, on the same part. Like we will discuss more detailed, steps about the penetration testing methodology, because that is very much important to understand, right? So yeah, we'll start with the penetration testing methodology. We'll discuss about the each and every phase in a more detailed way. Then we will also cover about the different types of penetration testings. Okay, what are the different types of penetration testings that we have? Which one to go with, uh, difference between them, and also after that I will also help you to set up the lab, guys. So as of now, we I mean I haven't shown you how to set up the lab, correct? So once we set up the lab, I'll teach you the basics of Linux, okay, how to use it, navigate it, uh, people who are very new to it, so it's for them. And then basics of networking concepts. From there we'll start with the actual practical sessions, guys. Like we'll start with the information gathering, vulnerability, identification. So first I'll show you all these steps manually by simulating the attacks in our local virtual environment. Then we can also do the same thing, by with the help of a tools like Nessus and Qualys, right? So I'll also show you how these tools, like how the entire vulnerability management lifecycle works. How do we use these tools and all. So yeah, that is what the plan, guys. Okay. Uh, so let me share my screen. Yep. Can you able to see my screen? Hope you guys can able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Cool.
we are able to see. Yes.
Yeah. So yesterday we have discussed about the phase of penetration testing, correct? Starting from planning and preparation, and information gathering, vulnerability identification, exploitation, post-exploitation, and reporting and remediation and retesting, which is uh, post-engagement part. So now we'll discuss about each and every step in a detailed way by connecting with the real-time scenarios. Correct? So this is the first step, guys, for the penetration testing. So when you're working as a penetration tester for some organization, it is very important for you to understand the scope and objective of the penetration testing. Right? When I say scope, let's say if you're testing the network, maybe list of IP addresses, like target devices, what devices you are targeting on, or maybe subnet and all the assets which are connected to that particular subnet. And if it is application, maybe the domains, subdomains, right? And maybe the kind of a technologies what they are using. So all these details we'll be gathering over here in the scope. Then objective, of course, what is the objective of performing this penetration testing. So there are different ways, the different ways, they can basically expect us to for different reasons, they will expect us to perform the penetration testing. One, I can say, part of a regular audits, like for the compliance part, maybe if there is any changes in the infrastructure, or when they wanted to evaluate and see what is the current security posture, right? Or when there is any changes or new functionalities or new devices are added to the network. Okay, so yeah, so we need to find out what is the objective of the penetration testing, so we can help them in the same way. Let's say maybe they had some incident. Okay, so maybe someone has hacked. Maybe they just wanted to see how that is happened. So that could be their objective, right? So it's better to identify the objective so that according to that we can start uh, you know perform the assessment, and then obtain the necessary permissions, guys, as we are ethical hackers. Correct. So we need to first, before performing this assessment, we need to take the prior permissions from the owner. Okay, if they have SOP or NDA, all this documentation part, we need to complete it. Okay, usually the high level people only do it. Maybe if in case if you also have chance to get into those kind of an activities, yeah, of course you can also go and involve in it. Then assemble the testing team. Depending on the scope, maybe we need to assemble the right people. Let's say you have skills on network and application, but the scope is mobile, so you need to bring him the mobile penetration testing expert over here. Sometimes the scope will be in all the areas, so you cannot alone handle the entire project, right? So we distribute the work among us internally, right? Whatever the expertise you have, you will be only taking that particular area of the work, and you will be start working on it. So when you're working as a penetration tester, most of the time, we will be doing the individual contribution work, guys, which means the target is given to us with the proper timeline. Let's say week or two, we ourselves will start working on it, and at the end, we will be creating a report and sharing with them, right? So yeah, there are a lot of things, guys. Even like we will also set up a meeting with them, to understand if in case application, like what all the functionalities are there, to clarify our doubts. We will also take the point of a contact details if in case if something goes wrong, to contact with them, or something if in case if we identify is very critical, to notify them immediately, right? So yeah, we take various user permissions to perform the authenticated scans, or to perform the gray box and white box testing, right? All these necessary permissions we will be taking from them. Okay. So once this all the pre-engagement phase is done, we'll start with the actual work as per the defined timeline. So the very first part, every hacker or every penetration tester will start with is information gathering and a reconnaissance, guys. So when I say information gathering, of course, gathering as much has details about the target. So there are two ways of performing this information gathering, guys. Okay. First one is, of course, a passive, reconnaissance, like passive information gathering. Whenever I say passive information gathering, which means there won't be direct communication or direct interaction between the attacker and target. He will be gathering the information by looking at the some of the available resources which are there in the internet. Okay, it's like if I wanted to gather the information about you, I will not directly come and gather the information from you. I might go and ask your friend. Okay, so there is no direct interaction between you and me. Correct. Similarly, in a passive reconnaissance, they gather the information from the other services. So some of the examples for this is like performing the who is lookup. When I say who is lookup, it is for identifying the you know information about the specific domain, like when it is registered, when it is going to expire, where it is hosted, okay, and who registered uh, that particular domain. So it will give you all the domain related information by querying the RIR, like regional internet registrants. Of course, we will be looking at each and every topic in a practical way when we are starting with this information gathering phase. I'm just giving you high level things over here. Okay, maybe like we do technology lookup to identify what technologies are used by them. We do DNS enumeration to fetch all the available public, records and database details and etc. So when you say passive, remember that there is no direct interaction between the attacker and target. Whatever the information which is available to the public, so he will be gathering it. And here is some of the examples, right? Um, Next thing is active reconnaissance, which is like directly communicating with them or interacting with them to gather the information about the target application or a network. So we will start first with host discovery. Okay, let's say your manager or your scope is confirmed. Okay, you have list of IP addresses or a subnet. So what we do is we first knock those systems. Okay, we check, are they connected to internet? Are they reachable or not? If it is not reachable, is it possible to perform the hacking? Is it possible to go ahead? No. Correct. So the very first step what we do is we perform the host discovery scan to check whether those systems are actually connected to the network. Are they reachable or not? If it is not reachable, then again we need to check with the networking team. Sometimes what happens, those servers might be connected in a private network where you don't have the direct access to it, or sometimes those systems and servers are reachable only through the VPNs. Okay, so such a information we should actually take it in the pre-engagement phase itself. But of course, okay, this is the first step that we do it, part of the active reconnaissance. Then once you have identified all the available hosts, okay, which are alive and which are not alive, then we will go with the next step called as a port scanning and service detection. Okay, so host is reachable with an IP address, and every host has 0 to 65,535 different ports, right? So like IP address is the endpoint communication for the system, right? But port numbers are the endpoint communication for the services which are running in the system. Let's say if you're running a service called HTTP, so which runs on the port number 80, right? HTTP is a protocol. Similarly, like FTP 21, SSH 22, like we have certain most commonly used services. I will be teaching you those services in the upcoming sessions. Okay, when we are discussing about the basics of networking, so you will understand about the ports protocols over there, right? So for us, I mean, even for an attacker, these ports are the entry points for the system. If any port is open, okay, and there is some vulnerabilities running in it, it is very easy for an attacker to exploit that port and get into the system. If you see the second demo, what we have done, we have installed a bad blue, that is a file server, right, enterprise to file server, and we ran it on the port number 80. Okay, intentionally we have created port number 80 with the bad blue service, which is actually a vulnerable, and then we have exploited it to just make you understand the process. Correct. Similarly, in the organization, I mean, when you're assessing the target, uh, the unnecessary ports might open, or without knowing them, there might be some kind of a legacy versions of the services running, like vulnerable version of the services running or misconfigured. So attackers always, find those information to take the advantage of it. Okay. Then comes the enumeration. So whatever the open ports that we identifies, we dig more information about them to understand, let's say FTP is open, what type of a FTP server is running, what is the authentication type that is supported, whether there is an anonymous user is present or not, okay, whether the account lockout policies existed or not. So such type of a details, we will be gathering the specific to each and every port. That is what called as a enumeration. So once you do this enumeration, we will also go with the OS detection, version detection. You will have the complete details about the target now, right? So we take these details and we will, use these details to perform the vulnerability identification. So as I said, this vulnerability identification can be happen manually and also automated, automated way, right? So you can use any kind of an automated tools like um, Nessus, Qualys, or Rapid7 and scan the target systems. Even these tools will also follow the same steps, which I have explained in the active reconnaissance phase. Then they, whatever the details that they are identifying it, they compare those details with the, their own database where they have all the vulnerabilities listed out, with the defined vulnerability detection logic. If something is matching, it will trigger that as a vulnerability. But for us, when you're doing it manually, we have to take those versions with configured information, and then we need to look it into the publicly available databases like cvdetails.com, NVD, like nationalvulnerability.com, to identify the vulnerabilities, and we have to analyze the results as well, right? Once we analyze it, we also prioritize them, and we give this to the respective team to patch it if in case if they are only limited to the vulnerability assessment. Okay. But if you're going one step ahead, like if you wanted to verify the actual impact, of actual impact of those vulnerability after exploiting it, you can do the exploitation, right? Either you can develop your own exploit. Okay. Initially it is not possible. Maybe, later part, once you have good experience in information security, you will be able to do that. Okay. Initially, to start with, is check if there is a existing exploits available in the internet, right? So you take those exploits which are available in the internet and run those exploits on the target to see if in case if you can able to gain the access to the target system or an application, right? Once this is done, even they do the post exploitation, which is like to gain the um what we can say, to gain the more privileges on the system, or to create the more impact, or maybe to, perform the other potential uh, you know attacks in the network. When you say post exploitation, which means you're already inside the system. Okay, you already have the access to the compromised system. After that, okay, when you would like to perform, maybe, pivoting, like moving from one system to another system, or running a scan with the same compromised system, or stealing the credentials which are storing in the same system. So all these activities, or maybe, lateral movements, right? So all these activities are basically considered as a post exploitation, guys, right? So we do this post exploitation to understand the impact. Okay. If in case if the vulnerability is exploited in the network or an application, even like in the post exploitation, attackers have the ability to extract the sensitive information. They can also perform the lateral movement. As I said, they can install some sort of a malwares, backdoors, okay, to have the persistent access with the target system. Maybe, today there is a vulnerability, you have exploited it and you got the access to the system. Tomorrow the vulnerability might be patching it. Correct. Next time you cannot go by exploiting the same vulnerability. So what they do is once they have an access to the system, they install some sort of a malwares like backdoors or trojans, which give the remote access to them whenever they wanted to have the access. Okay, to maintain the persistent access with them. Okay, once they even perform the attack, they also do the cleanup activity to not to leave any kind of a digital traces, right? So all this comes under the post exploitation itself, right? We also do the post exploitation, guys, to understand the impact, right? Yeah, once this is done, in every step we take the screenshots, okay, like proof of to create a proof of concept, and we put them into the report. So we write the detailed report for the owner of that particular asset, or as a part of an assessment, of course, we write the detailed report with all our vulnerability findings, including the methods, which we have used to exploit the potential vulnerabilities and the impact. Okay, description, yeah, description and all, right? So in this report, of course, we will have recommendations also provided to them. Uh, of course, there are different types of reports, like technical report, executive summary report, right? According to their requirement, we have to create this reports and we need to share with them. So if it is network, guys, you can dump the reports directly from the VA tool. Okay, because mostly network is something which we can use the automated tools. If it is application, we have to create a manual report. Still, we can also generate the automated report from this Bob suite and all, but there might be a lot of false positives in it. And to actually convey how you have simulated the attack and how you have exploited the vulnerabilities, most of the time we create the manual reports in a Word document, by prioritizing all the vulnerabilities with description, solution, mentioning the severity, where it is got affected, then the proof of concept. So they can also go through this proof of concept and they can also easily replicate this and verify it, whether it is really, valid one or not. Then they can use our recommendations, whatever we have mentioned it into the report. They use those recommendations to start applying the patches, right? Yeah. Then comes the post engagement activity, right? They do work on the patching. Okay, so of course, patch management team will be there if it is a network or a system. If it is an application, you have to coordinate with the development team, okay, who are developing the application. So they will, take our recommendations and they will apply the patches accordingly. Once this is done, we will be again, performing the retesting uh, according to their request to verify whether those vulnerabilities are properly fixed or not. Okay, so this is the entire process, guys. The process or methodology that we use it to perform the penetration testing in the organization. Hope these steps are clear. Any questions, guys? Yeah, guys, any questions? Yeah, guys, ask me if in case if you have any questions. No questions? If you're silent, like, can I assume that you don't have any questions?
No.
Okay, cool. Uh, yep. So, okay, so we have different types of penetration testings, guys. Okay, we have a black box, white box, and gray box pen testing. Let's discuss about it, right? So when you say black box penetration testing, which means like attacker will not have any prior knowledge on the internal workings of the network or an application. It's like a real attacker who is sitting outside performing an attack. Okay, just to see the security posture of a network system or an application from a outsider's point of view, like an attacker point of view. Here, when you're involved in the black box pen testing, they won't give you any kind of access to the source code or internal architecture documentation. They don't provide you any kind of an access to you guys. Okay, they will just tell you, hey, these are all the IP addresses that you need to work on. Okay, even they don't tell you whether there is a firewall is there. They don't tell you, uh, how many users are there, how the application has built on. They don't provide you any information when it comes to black box testing. Okay, so every testing has an advantages and disadvantages, guys. Right? When it comes to performing the black box penetration testing, of course, it is like realistic simulation, mimicking real world attack scenarios, and a tester's lack of knowledge prevents assumption about the system security. It's like doing it from the outsider point of view, but it is time consuming, guys. Okay, and also sometimes we may not able to cover performing the testing of the internal systems which are not visible from the outside, right? So the testing is incomplete coverage over here. Okay, like maybe if the application is already in the production, okay, when you wanted to check, okay, by performing a penetration testing, what kind of a security posture that we have, whether there is any vulnerabilities existed in it. Okay, so they can go for the black box testing, right? When it comes to white box testing, here they will give you complete details about the network application, topologies, source code, architecture, design. Tester will have an access to everything. Okay, so that he can start testing it very thoroughly. Okay, because he has all the access to perform the assessment, right? He can spend more time to get a deeper understanding of each and every component, and then he will be executing his testing a very efficient manner. But this is time consuming, require more time to discover the vulnerabilities due to, okay, this is, okay, I think this is wrong one, guys. So this is not, uh, okay, I think I missed to add something over here. Okay, yeah. So there are advantages, guys, because we will be able to get to look at into each and every component in a detailed way. Okay, I'll just remove this. Yeah, yeah. So here he will get a chance to go and look it into each and everything in a detailed way because he has an access to everything. The good thing is he can also cover the systems which are not exposed to the outsider. He will also have the access to the source code. He can go and check the vulnerabilities in the code level itself, so that uh, you know before it's going to the production, we can also mitigate them, right? So it is also effective, guys. Very fast way we can identify and remediate the issues, right? Of course, it's a kind of a a time taking one as well, right? Yeah. And then we have the gray box pen testing. Gray box testing is like combination of white box and black box pen testing. So here we will have the partial knowledge about the systems and the applications, which might be like architectural diagram or limited source code access, user roles, technologies, a point of a contact details. Of course, we'll only have the partial access, guys. We'll not have the complete access like a white box. We will only have the partial access. Uh, okay, that is only limited to the testing. So when it comes to black box testing, uh, I can say to perform this black box testing and all, cost wise, okay, if I'm talking about the cost wise, the cost would be like less. But if it is a white box testing, the cost is more high, and gray box testing, it stands somewhere in the middle. Okay, just I'm doing the cost comparison between the these three different types of approaches. Uh, so in my case, when it comes to performing the application testings and all, mostly 90% of the time, the assessments which I have executed is a gray box based pen testings, where they give the partial access to the system or an application, because it's a balanced approach, guys. Combining both black box and white box testing approaches, and it is also effective where we can spend more realistic than white box and more informed than the black box to pen testing. Okay, so here disadvantage is tester might miss the vulnerabilities due to partial knowledge, and partial knowledge might still leads to bias in testing, right? Because of we have the partial knowledge where we don't have the source code access and internal workings of an application in a detailed way. So those areas are like kind of a gray areas for us, right? So this is the comparison between the black, white, and gray box testing, guys. Okay, it's like when you have a network and application which is hosted in the internet, when you wanted to see the current security posture by mimicking the attacks like an outsider, you can go for the black box testing, where you have a time, okay, where you have resources, okay, good budget, when you wanted to evaluate the security in a very detailed way, then you can go for the white box testing. Okay, where you have like less budget, but you wanted to cover both of them, then you can go for the gray box testing, guys, right? So yeah, so which one to use it? Okay, how to choose the right type of a testing is completely depending on the testing objective, right? What you guys are aim to achieve with the penetration testing, and then with available information. Okay, consider how much information you have. Okay, you can or willing to share with the tester. Sometimes they will not ready to share the source code. Okay, I mean in that case, what they will go with, either they go with the gray box or black box kind of a thing, right? Sometimes they don't want it to expose the architectural, the system architecture or the product architecture. Of course, they can go with the uh, gray box or black box testing, right? And realism, decide if you wanted to simulate a real world attack scenario or focus on through an internal testing. So if you would like to perform the real world testing attack, you can go with black box. Maybe if you would like to focus on the covering up everything, then you can go for the white box. And depending on the resource availability also, we can choose it, guys, right? So in summary, uh, like as I said, black box simulate the external attack, with no prior knowledge of the system. White box involves through internal testing with a complete knowledge of the system. Gray box offered a balanced approach with the partial knowledge of the system, right? So likewise, they will choose which penetration testing that they wanted to go with, and they will approach to us. Okay. So we need to find, okay, which type of a penetration testing that you would like to go with. According to that, we start with the pre-engagement phase, and taking the information from them. Okay, information, timeline, okay, everything we will be taking from them, and we'll be starting the assessment, right? Because each type of testing has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choose depending on your specific needs and objective, right? So yeah, so this is what uh, you know the difference between the each type of a penetration testings what we have, and also the methodology that we use it for executing the penetration testing, right? If you don't have any questions, maybe I can quickly help you to set up the lab, guys.
I have one question. Can I ask now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, based on these three box testings, we have to be identify the application vulnerabilities. Whatever you told that 7 phases, we have to do that one and take the assignment of that one, right? Assessment, right?
yeah. See, first we will identify, okay, which type of penetration testing that you would like to go with. Okay, whatever it is, either it could be a white box, black box, a gray box. We use this testing methodology itself to perform the attack. We start with information gathering. Okay, we identify the as much as information about the target. Then we find the vulnerabilities. We exploit them. Then we put it into the report. But there, the
Okay.
difference is sometimes they may give the limited resource to us. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's depending on their requirement, right? How much time they have, how much budget they have, till what level they wanted to evaluate themselves. According to that, they choose the type of a penetration testing, okay, as per their
Mm.
objective. But the methodology is same in every phase. So we'll be
Okay.
discussing about it in a very detailed way. Okay, let's say we are doing the network. Um, you know, let's say we are starting with the network pen testing. Okay, so what all the details that we can take it, okay, from them? How do we determine the test boundaries? Okay, what are the rules? Rules of an engagement, risk assessment. Okay, the testing team preparation. So everything, I'll be covering over here in a detailed way. Then we'll start with the next one, which is information gathering. Okay, once we are done with information gathering, vulnerability assessment. So every phase I will be covering it in a very detailed way. Okay, this is like I can say giving you, initially itself some knowledge about it, so that
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so that
Okay, we
when we are
will see
discussing,
with examples. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
yeah, yeah. I'm just making you comfortable, okay, first with the basics, then we'll slowly get into, in-depth topics. Yeah. So what I'll do is, when it comes to lab setup, right, I have already lab setup installed in my system, right? Can anyone maybe, tell me like, or give your system access to me? I can, set up the lab in your system, or I can guide you to set up the lab in your system so that everyone will follow the same steps. Yeah, guys. You got my plan, right? So my plan is someone just you know tell me in whose system you want me to set up the lab. I can guide you, so others can follow the same steps to set up the lab in your system, because in my system it is already there. Hope everyone is using the Windows operating systems, correct?
Okay, can I give my system?
Yeah, you can. Okay, let me give you the presenter rights to you.
Okay.
Yeah, now you will have an access to share your screen.
Okay.
It's coming up for me. Uh, yeah, now I can see your system. Hope you haven't installed, you know, virtualization platform before this, right? Do you have like VirtualBox or VMware something in your system?
I'm
No.
not sure. Let me check in control panel.
Okay. Uh, no problem.
Can I check in
Uh,
control panel?
yeah, you can check in control panel. But I cannot see the other screen if in case if you have opened control panel.
Okay.
There are three options actually. Now I can see it's coming up. Not here. Actually, you have to go to programs and files where you have all the softwares installed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Still, I can see system about page.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
it's taking time to you to display. Just a minute.
Yeah. Just scroll down.
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, guys, I'll give you few links to you. Okay. Just download this softwares. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Just a minute. Let me give these links to everyone in the chat so that meanwhile they can download it and work on it. So, guys, if you are doing the virtualization first time, okay, if you'd like to see if your hardware is supported, or if your hardware is enabled for the virtualization or not, you can right click on this task manager, go to, okay, task manager. Okay, here go to performance, then go to CPU. Here you can see a settings called virtualization status, whether it is enabled or disabled. Okay, it should be enabled, guys. If it is not enabled, you cannot run the virtual systems. Okay, if it is disabled for someone, let me know. I can help you, or I can give you some blog or a video, okay, with a step-by-step process to enable it. Basically, you have to go to the BIOS, and there, from there, you need to enable it, guys. Okay, so that is the first thing. Second thing is, what virtualization software we are going to use it over here is, we are using VirtualBox. Okay, Oracle VirtualBox, which is free. So according to your operating system, okay, whatever the operating system you guys are using it, download this package. I think most of you are having Windows, right? You can download this Windows package. If someone is having Mac OS, download this. Anyone is using Mac? Guys, if anyone is using Mac, let me know. Okay. So if you don't have the Mac OS, that's fine. I mean, if someone has it, you can download it. Okay. If no one is having it, that's fine. Just go and download this particular package called Windows Host. Okay. So once you download it, okay, it is just like next. Okay, install it, and then you will have this Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager open. Okay, where you will not have these systems. Okay, these systems we need to install it inside it. So, but yeah, download it and just go with the next. Okay, uh, yeah. Once it is done, here we need the two systems, guys. One is the Linux operating system, okay, which we are using it as an attacker system, and then we need the target systems. Either you can install Windows 7, 10, or maybe some kind of a vulnerable operating systems like Metasploitable 2. Okay, better to start with Windows 7, guys. Okay, because Windows 10 is also like having the updates, right, from the Microsoft. So, but Windows 7, no, start with Windows 7, then we'll go to Windows 10. Okay, then we will also explore the other vulnerable operating systems like, Metasploitable 2, Game Over, Fast Leaks, okay, etc. So, from where can we download this Linux operating system, right? So you can go to kali.org. Okay, you can go to kali.org. From here, you can click on downloads. So here they are giving the same Kali machine in the different flavors or different formats. So for us, when you would like to install it in either it in VMware or a virtual box, they are giving the pre-built images for us, where you don't need to run through all the installation process. Okay, it is just a pre-built operating system. You can just double click and import it into the virtual box, and once you import and start it, it'll ask you for the password. You can give this default password like Kali and Kali, then later you can change your passwords and start running it. Okay, so okay, first thing is this one. I'm putting this link in the chat. Okay, second thing, you can go here and download the 64-bit VirtualBox file. Okay, when you download it directly, it will be slow, guys. If in case if you have torrent, try to download with the torrent, guys. Okay, there, if you click on this link, you will have the torrent link. It will be a bit fast comparing with the direct download from the server. Okay, whichever you feel it's a flexible, uh, you can just download it and keep it ready with you. Or maybe if you go and double click on it once you extract it, automatically it will get imported into the virtual box. Okay, so yeah. And then when it comes to downloading the Windows operating systems, okay, like you can uh, maybe download it from the some third-party websites like ISO River, or or there are a lot of places, right, where you will get this Windows ISO file. Download it and keep it handy with you. Okay. Windows 10, I think you will be able to download it from the Microsoft site itself. Then, when it comes to downloading the vulnerable operating systems to practice and learn, you can go with vulnhub.com. So if you go to vulnerhub.com, you will be able to find a lot of vulnerable systems over here, which are intentionally created by various security people for enhancing and learning the new skills, right? So let's start with the basic system. So basic system, I suggest you to start with Metasploitable 2. Okay. So here we have, when you type Metasploit, yeah, you can see we have a Metasploitable 1, Metasploitable 2. Let's start with the Metasploitable 2. Okay, once you go here, you have an option to download the zip file. Okay, you can just keep this uh, file downloaded. Then I'll help you to install it, guys. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, these are all the different steps, guys, which you need to use it. Maybe once you download this, all of the files, and keep it ready with you, I can help you if in case if you stuck somewhere, right? Or else the process very same, right? First install the virtual box, then download the Linux operating system and import into it. Okay, then download the Metasploitable 2 or a Windows 7 image. Then from here, you just need to click this symbol. Okay, add, sorry, new. Here you can give the name, like which operating system you wanted to install it. Let's say Windows 7 ISO. Choose the folder. Okay, whatever the image that you have downloaded, you can go and choose that image. Let's say in my case, I have Windows 7 over here, right? Once it is done, okay, choose the platform, which is 64-bit, right? And skip the unattended installation. Finish. Okay, you can see it got created. Now click on start. It'll take some time, guys. It'll take some time, and uh, uh, yeah, it is loading now. It'll take 10 to 15 minutes time to set up this. But Linux operating system, it won't take much time. Like for an example, okay, first let me show you this. Okay, English, yes, install now. So here, let's go with 64-bit. Accept the license. Go with the custom. Okay, 32 GB is fine. Yeah, that's it. It'll take some time over here, okay, to copy these files and to install the features and updates. Once it is done, it will ask you to set up your username and password. Give it. That's it. Okay, your Windows operating system is ready to use, right? But remember the password. Next time when you log in, you have to give the same passwords to log in, right? And when it comes to installing the Linux operating system, you can download uh, the file from the kali.org. Okay, this particular file. Okay, once you download it, it will be like in the 7-zip file format. You can see here, right? 7-zip, right? You need to extract it, guys, which will look like this. Yeah, which will look like this. It's basically a zip file. You need to extract this. Okay, let's say you can see what I'm doing is I'm right clicking over here, open with, or maybe extract here directly. Okay, if you don't have this file extractor, you can download it. Okay, 7-zip or WinRAR, okay, whichever the software you would like to use it. Okay, it says I am already having it. Okay, so once you extract it, you will have a folder created like this. Okay, and once you get into it, here you will find here you will find the two different files. Click on the okay first one, which is VirtualBox machine definition. That's it. You can see automatically it got imported over here into the VirtualBox because it's a pre-built image where you don't need to run through all the installation process. Once you start it, it'll ask you the username and password. So this default username and password you can enter it like Kali and Kali, right? So yep. Okay, let me stop the first one. Yep. So Windows is installing and the Linux is of course starting now. Yep. You can see it's asking the uh, username and password, right? You can just give Kali and Kali. Done. Yeah. If someone is new to the Linux operating system, no worries. I'll teach you how to use it, right? So I think we have already discussed like why only Linux operating system, correct? So Linux is the operating system which is meant for security people, right? Which we can use it for various types of information security related tasks such as penetration testing, security research, computer forensic, and reverse engineering. So here, almost all the tools are pre-installed in it, guys. Okay, if you click on the left side top, this Linux icon, you will have a drop down and you will have all the tools like categorized and subcategorized, right? Information gathering tools, vulnerability analysis tool, web application analysis tool, database tools, like all the different types of categories you will be able to see it, right? Or else directly you can run and access these tools from the terminal. Okay, if I would like to run some kind of a tool, okay, you can use this terminal directly and launch this, right? Let's say I want to launch maybe Bob Suite. Okay, so sudo is like I'm giving the permissions over there. Yeah, you can see the Bob Suite Community Edition, which was already installed in the Linux operating system, is now launched. Similarly, whichever the tool that you wanted to use it or run it, you can directly launch it from the terminal itself, right? And here you will have a notepad, okay, to write your notes, Okay, it's like a text editor, I can say. You have a browser over here. Okay, here also you have a file system like Windows, like desktop, documents, okay, etc., etc. Okay, it is not so difficult to use it. Previously, it was like completely CLI, okay, which is command line interface. But now there are uh, okay, they have added some of the GUI applications as well, right? So yeah, you can see now this is a mouse pad, and this is the Bob's build, right? So mostly we use this terminal only, guys. You know, from navigating from the one place to another place, copy the files, move the files, okay, all those basic operations about this file structure, file permissions, navigation part. I can teach you if you have some time, maybe to learn yourself. Before I teach, you can go to a good resource like linuxcommand.org. Okay, so here once you install the Linux operating system and once you open your terminal, you can go here. Yeah, here you can just click on what to do. Here they will explain you why bother, and then here you have some topics. Okay, close to 10 topics I can say. You can able to complete it once you start the flow. They'll explain you what is the shell, what is terminal, okay, how do we use it. It's a case sensitive. You can see if you type something, it says command not found, right? And click on next. Okay, here you will have a file system. Okay, so where do we see this file system? If you go to the root directory and type ls, you will see this file system over here, right? Then how to use these commands like for the navigation purpose. To check where you are in which current directory, you can use pwd, like it will show you the results like this. So I'll teach you all these basic operations of the Linux operating system in the next session, right? But what you can do is you can use the same steps to create your own lab setup and keep it ready, because going forward, when we start the information gathering, we will be using all this Linux based tools to gather the information, guys, right? And once we start practical, so we'll be just using this environment itself to do it. So before that, I want you to spend some time, download the required things and install it, and come back to me if in case if you have any questions or if you're stuck somewhere, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jaideep, I can see you have raised your hands. I cannot hear you. Are you speaking?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sir, I have a query. I want to ask that in case in my system I have already VMware installed, then I can use this Linux Pega compatible already, right? Using VMware.
Yeah, you can use it. So here I'm using a platform as a virtual box. If you'd like to use the VMware, that's fine.
I mean, will it make any difference?
No,
Okay, okay, okay. Since I actually already have the VMware installed, that's why I want to use it there. That's why.
no, there won't be any difference. So we are using virtual box. It's a free one,
Okay,
which consumes less RAM. So yeah, it's
okay,
easy to
okay,
use. Yeah, yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Thanks.
yeah. Yeah, guys. So that's all about the today's session. So if you have any questions now, let me know. I'll take up.